If you watched my last video, you might recall that at the start of April of the senior year, when I didn't proc Groundwork on my Sakura Bakushino, I just couldn't take it. I called her worthless. If I hadn't been recording that video specifically to give people an idea of what the game was like, I would have just quit right there. Right? Why though? Why is that one skill such a make or break for that horse that not having it made the horse completely useless? In order to understand that, we're going to have to start by asking ourselves, what is Groundwork? Groundwork slightly increases acceleration after activating many skills early race. Of course. But what does that mean? Umamusume does not tell you what the skills actually do in any sort of detail. For that, we have to go to an external source. We're going to call it GameTora.com, where they tell you exactly what all the skills do, to where you can actually make an informed decision about what you need for your horse to work. So now we get to know exactly what all of that means. Activating many skills early race means activates count start greater than or equal to 3, meaning you have to activate 3 skills counting from the beginning of the race. Right from minute 0, you can start activating skills. Other skills might care about activating them at different times or a different number of skills. Okay, fine. Slightly increased acceleration, that means that for a base duration of 3 seconds, we will increase our acceleration by 0.2. That base duration scales with the distance of the race. It's only 3 seconds at 1,000 meters. However, the acceleration stays constant, 0.2 meters per second. Okay, those are some numbers. Why are they important? So we're going to have to build the pyramid of understanding. We're going to start from very base principles. We're going to ask ourselves when acceleration works. We're going to build up to how acceleration works at those times. Then we can start working on how acceleration changes the way that we position, especially as a front runner, the position that I needed that Sakura Bakushin to hold. And then we can find out exactly why Groundwork is vital to those purposes. Okay, so let's start with the very first question, our base principle. When does acceleration occur in a race? Well, it's very easy. You accelerate when your speed goes up. You accelerate when your speed goes up. That seems very obvious, but when is that? When are we accelerating? When is our speed going up in Umamusume? Well, it goes up at any of 3 times. We can see in this graph here. We've got the Yasuda Kinen, the race that we just finished for the Leo Cup Champions meeting. Tokyo 1600 meter turf. Got a little hill at the start, got a little hill at the end. Okay. We accelerate at the very beginning of the race. We accelerate from a dead stop in the gate up to our cruising speed for the beginning of the race. We accelerate at the very end of the race in that final leg, right? We go from whatever our cruising speed is during that middle race up to our top speed, controlled by our speed stat and our running style, okay? And we get a little bitty bump anytime that we get a skill that increases our speed. Now, when it comes to acceleration skills, we don't care about those little baby bumps, because they can occur at random times throughout the race. There's no real way to control for them, and the difference in speed is so minor. It's maybe 45 centimeters per second. So we just don't care. We just don't invest in acceleration skills to account for those small changes. We care about the big changes. We care about the change right here at the start from 0 to about around 20. And we care about the change here at the end from 20 to around 28, 30. Okay, so we know when it's happening. How do we change our speed? How does acceleration work? It works by this big formula. I'm going to provide a link in the description to the mechanics doc where you can learn all about this formula and all of the other just absolutely deep systems this game has and never tells you about. But I'm going to break it down. I'm going to simplify it. This first add-end here, base acceleration times square root of 500 times power stat times strategy phase coefficient times ground type proficiency modifier times distance proficiency modifier. For any given Uma, given like their running style that they're running in this race, the phase of the race that they're in, and the turf or dirt that they're running on, and their aptitude for that is going to be known. It's going to range somewhere between 0.19 meters per second and 0.55 meters per second. You can manipulate it to get it extremely low. You can get it as low as about 0.005 or 0.0005. I forget which. For skills for strategies like we saw in the Gemini Cup, where we have the Haru Urara with minimum power and no turf aptitude and no long aptitude, just the absolute minimum acceleration that we can possibly have, which means that she will stay at the minimum speed for as much of the race as possible, bringing the whole speed of the race down, meaning that everybody gets to save on stamina. But in normal circumstances, it's going to be between about 20 centimeters and 55 centimeters. Then this third add-end here, the start dash modifier, this only matters for less than a second at the start of the race. At the very start of the race, it's going to be 24 meters per second. 24 meters, not 24 centimeters. It's a huge change, but it only matters for the very, very beginning of the race. For the entire rest of the race, it is 0. So most of the time, that part doesn't matter. That leaves us with our skill modifier. That's the part that we're trying to control for. That's what Groundwork is. Groundwork is an acceleration skill, so that's what it modifies. Acceleration skills are not always clear about what they do. Some of them are very honest. Some of them will straight up tell you they increase acceleration. Great. Some of them will maybe hide it away a little bit. Maybe it'll do two different things. This flowery maneuver skill can increase your speed, or it can increase your acceleration depending upon where you are relative to the pack when you activate it. But it still says it increases acceleration. Not every skill is so kind. You also have skills like Nimble Navigator, which increases maneuverability. That's an acceleration skill. That increases your acceleration. Shrewd Step increases your ability to navigate that acceleration skill. Updrafters increases passing ability, acceleration skill. Running on and up, acceleration skill. Ability to keep the acceleration skill. Ability to go to the front is still an acceleration skill. And sometimes they don't even tell you anything at all. Sometimes if it's a hybrid unique, it'll say something really indistinct like this: hang on to the advantage when positioned towards the front with acceleration to spare on the final straight, or energy to spare on the final straight. Yeah, that's an acceleration skill. It's a hybrid acceleration skill, which means it gives you some max speed and some acceleration, but it's still an acceleration skill. At least Umamusume is at least a little bit honest about its adjectives. Whenever it says slightly, it is increasing your acceleration by 0.2 meters per second. Whenever it says moderately, it's 0.3. Whenever there's no qualifier, whenever it just says increased acceleration, that's 0.4. And then for combination uniques like Victoria por Plancha, it can vary between 0.3 if it's the original holder, like El Condor Pasa using Victoria por Plancha, or Daiwa Scarlet activating Resplendent Red Ace, it'll be 0.3. If it's the 1 or 2 star version of that unique, it'll dip down to 0.15 meters per second. And then if it's the inherited version, then it'll go down to 0.1 meters per second. So this skill modifier ranges between 0.1 and 0.4 meters per second. That's almost as much as you can possibly get via having maximum power, S surface aptitude, turf or dirt aptitude, for having the optimal the S distance modifier as well. The having S mile in our example, Yasuda Kinen. All of that has about as much impact as activating a good skill at the right time. So we're going to go back to our Yasuda Kinen race. Only now we're going to swap out one of our Umas for a Daiwa Scarlet. We're going to give her one of those. We're going to give her that Resplendent Red Ace combination acceleration unique. We're also going to give her a couple of more acceleration skills. We're going to give her Groundwork plus the skills that you need to activate it. We're going to give her Furious Feet and Angling and Scheming. Just only acceleration skills. We're going to give her 3 acceleration skills plus her own. And wow, she's look at that hump. Look at that difference. It's crazy. It's magical. All of a sudden, she's winning the exact same stats, by the way. The exact same stats, the exact same aptitudes. The horse is now winning by 5 lengths on average. Maximum of 7 lengths. Just from adding acceleration skills. The only speed here that we have is from that Resplendent Red Ace skill. Right there. Okay, well that's not fair. We've given our variable horse, the Daiwa Scarlet, a bunch of skills, but we haven't given any to the Air Groove, our control. So we're going to feed the control enough skills to balance the investment. The same value of skills, but different skills. We're gonna give her all speed skills instead. We're gonna see how that changes. All right, so we've got the Mile Straits proccing right there. Professor of Curvature. We've got the Eternal Moments proccing at a really, really helpful time, by the way. It proccing right before the late surge is exactly when you want a speed skill to activate. And we've also got the Triumphant Pulse off of Ogre Recap activating in the late race to give us that little bump to get us over the line. And all these same investments, right? That top speed, we can see right there at the very end that the Air Groove is running faster than the Daiwa Scarlet. But she's still losing. On average, the Air Groove in this situation is losing by 2.5 lengths, a maximum of 5, which is a lot. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference. That's not really a surmountable lead. So we know, based on this, that we need to accelerate at the correct times to get to our top speed, even if our top speed is a little bit lower, because then we're running at that top speed for a longer period of time, so we're winning that race. Groundwork only controls this little tiny bump right here at the beginning. The other acceleration skills, they're all packed in towards the end. Angling, Scheming, Furious Feet, Resplendent Red Ace, they're all packed in right at the end of the race. So why do we care about this little bump right here at the beginning? That difference in the actual distance traveled is so small. Why does it matter? Groundwork matters for staying in first place. Getting first place, staying in first place. That is the only thing it matters for. When you're running a race, there's 4 positions. We have front runners, pace chasers, late surgers, and end closers. End closers, late surgers, and pace chasers all want to stay in a band of distance behind the front runner. Whoever is in first place, they're going to mark their distance behind that. You say, okay, I'm 3 meters behind, I'm 5 meters behind, I'm 7 meters behind. This is all completely acceptable. I'm in an appropriate place. If they start to catch up too much, they'll slow down and they'll spend stamina a little bit slower. Or if they start to fall behind too much, they'll pick up the pace, they'll run a little bit faster, and they'll spend their stamina a bit faster. So when it comes to staying in first place, you don't care about the other 3 positions at all. If you are the sole front runner, you will always be in first place. You don't have to worry. You do have to worry about who's in first place if there's more than one front runner, because those front runners are going to constantly be challenging each other for position all throughout the race. There's going to be surprisingly few exchanges in the lead because of how holding on to front works, but they were always going to be trying. They're constantly going to be modifying their speed by just a little bit, depending upon whether they're in behind the front runner. They'll start to speed up by 5% if they pass the wit check. And they'll maintain that speed until either they catch up and pass, or they give up and they say, this pass isn't going to work, we're not going to be able to pass her. The other room is just too fast, I can't do it, they'll back off. If you're in first place and you can see someone coming up behind you, then you'll accelerate too. You'll go about 4% faster. So the benefit for being in behind first place is you get to run 1% faster if you pass your wit check. And if you are in first place, you still get to run faster. So if you are in first, you are benefiting more. This is why a solo frontrunner is sad and they die, because they don't get access to that 4.5% speed boost modulo wit. Why does that matter? That matters because in different phases of the race, all of your different running styles have access to different amounts of speed and acceleration depending upon the phase of the race and their style. In the late race, which is the time that matters the most in the race, in the late race, your front runner can only access 96.2% of her speed. So if she had exactly 1,000 speed, it would be the same as if she had 962 and could access all of it. Pace chasers get 97.5% of their speed in the late race. Late surgers 99.4, and end closers get to access 100% of their speed in the late race. They get the full value. So I've done a lot of math. In an ideal race, we have no skills, normal mood. Everybody has A aptitudes. The race is 2,000 meters long. It's firm turf. There's no hills. There's no race course modifier, which is a little sneaky change to your speed that can happen on certain races about certain stats. It's not career. We're not worrying about your horses being trying to change lanes or slowing down because there's a horse in front of them that's blocking them in. And we have exactly 254.365 wit, because that is the value at which your cruising velocity is normalized. Your cruising velocity is being modified by your wit at every phase of the race. If you have more wit, you will tend to roll higher than the cruising velocity. If you have low wit, you will tend to roll lower. On a 2,000 meter course, that's 20 meters per second. It changes depending upon the length of the race. So your speed does not matter anytime other than the late race. You're always going to be moving at some proportion to the base speed of 20 on a 2,000 meter course. All of these horses will also have 1,200 speed, 1,200 stamina, 1,200 power, and 1,200 guts, because I didn't want those to enter into the calculations at all. Okay, how fast do we finish this spherical frictionless race? Our front runner finishes it in 97.03 seconds. Our pace chaser finishes it in 96.41. Our late surger 96.33. Our end closer 96.27. Which means, absent of anything else, the end closer will always win a race because they get to run faster at the end of the race, the part where it matters. They just get to win. Okay, but I mean, we've all run races before. Different horses can win and different horses can lose. Well, still without letting skills enter into the equation, because skills are a little bit random. Maybe they proc, maybe they don't. Just having two front runners means that your front runners get to access that 4.5% speed boost modulo wit, and now they're finishing in 95.45 seconds. Now they're beating the end closers. Just no skills enter into the equation. There's no stat changes. Just that staying in first place, that fight for first place, is causing them to win the race that they otherwise should have lost. This is why when you're playing frontrunners, a single frontrunner is always going to die. You never want to have a solo frontrunner. You always want to run two frontrunners. So they can challenge each other for position. They can get access to that speed boost. It's like having so much value in skill points I can't even calculate it. Okay. So if I run two frontrunners, I'll win the race, right? Well, what if somebody else is running a frontrunner as well? What if there's an enemy frontrunner that's also contesting me for that front spot? How do I control? How do I try to win more then? This is how we get into why groundwork matters. You remember that front runner position, the one in first gets 4% increased speed. The one right behind him gets 5% increased speed. That is a very small difference. It matters, but it is a very small difference. So being in the front right from the start means that you're getting access to most of your speed bonus for most of the race. Groundwork itself doesn't exactly matter. Groundwork on its own is worth about a length. To contrast Updrafters, a similar acceleration skill that procs in a late race, on average will get you a length and a half. That's more. That's more distance, and it costs the same skill points. So why does that little tiny bump at the beginning matter so much? It's because of the demon. Right before Leo Cup started, we got this demon into the game. And this demon is why frontrunners are strong. And she does not have groundwork. She does not give groundwork. What does she give? She gives angling and scheming. Increased acceleration at an opportune moment when in the lead on a corner late race. That is, assuming it's inherited, 0.2 meters per second. If you're in exactly first place on a corner in the late race, the first corner that you touch in the late race, angling and scheming will look to see if you're in first place. And if you're in first place, you boom them. And if you are not in first place, you lose the whole game. That's it. That's angling and scheming. That's why groundwork matters. Groundwork matters because it gets you angling and scheming. Here we're back to the Yasuda Kinen. Here we've got our blue Umamusume is set up as a smart falcon, set up to front run as best she can. And our red Umamusume is our air groove, who is a late surger, but she has also got roughly the same value in skills. Our smart falcon blows her up on average, 2 lengths difference. It is not close most of the time. However, if for some reason that smart falcon does not activate angling and scheming, if she is not in first place, air groove wins. That's the difference. We need the enemy frontrunners who want to activate angling and scheming and boom the race. We want them to not activate it. That's why we needed Sakura Bakushino to have the groundwork. We needed Sakura Bakushino to have groundwork, okay? So that she could be in first place at the start of the late race when angling and scheming procs. So that way, all of the other frontrunners who need that skill to activate to win the race don't get to activate it and don't get to win the race. That way, other Umas have a chance to win, like our air groove. We wanted air groove to win. That's why we needed groundwork. It's not for Sakura Bakushino. The groundwork is for air groove. Thank you for sticking out the video. I hope you learned a little bit of something about acceleration. Links to the music and all of the documents that I required to put this video together are going to be in the description. Praise air groove.